I just started a record. Alright, so let's do a recap of what we did in our last class. So in our last class, we actually saw how we can actually create this card. We saw a little bit about advanced CSS. We saw the box model, how we could center something, and a little bit of kind of manipulating things. And what we actually did see here is, in this our project here, the first thing we actually did was to analyze what we are trying to create. So we want to create some sort of a card that has an image on the left and then some text on the right with the price and something by. So to do that, the first things or the things we explained was understanding the child and parent relationships in terms of placing containers. We simply say that a container is simply any element that you can define its width and height. For instance, this is an element here, and for the element to display fully well, we need to include a width to this element and a height to the element. So that's simply what a container is. And also in a container, we saw that we could place elements. An example of an element that we placed in the container was the image. So this is an image here which was placed in the container and positioned this way. Depending on the, let me say, the size of your image could require different stylings with respect to the ones I did here. I'm sure one person actually saw that, where instead of giving a height, you had to give the width of 50%. So those are the things you actually find out when you're coding. Most often, you will not necessarily do the same thing that I did, but with just little modifications and twists, you should be able to do something that actually looks similar to what I've done. Alright, so in our today's class, we'll just try to create a landing page, just a full-fledged landing page. And I just pray and hope that you guys actually put in some little effort and work to actually do something. Yeah, I can only talk and I can't be there to force you guys to actually work. Alright, so we'll be creating a landing page. And the kind of landing page we want to create is just simple, something like we put a logo. So I don't know if I can just sketch something out on Figma. Let me drag this over here and I'll take this. I'll take it this way. Alright, so over here, what I want us to actually do, I'll just sketch something random here. So I want us to kind of just create a landing page. In our landing page, we'll have something like, let's say, let me use text. I'll put here, let's say this will be the logo. Yeah, the size is too small, so I'll increase it for it to be visible. So this will be in black. So once you put a logo here, we want to just put a navigation bar. So here we'll have a nav over here. Then we just change the color maybe to black. So we'll put a navigation bar, and then we'll put a call to action button somewhere here. For those of you who did internship, yeah, you might remember everything we did in Figma. So this will be just like a recap, though we are not designing. So I just went straight to the point, and after that we want to put text, some, let me say, big text, H1 here. Then after H1 we'll put the description. So here we'll have text. So this one will be text. So what I'm actually doing is just like alright, what did I take? Okay, let's say here we include text, and it will be big. Then also we have a little bit of description text followed by a call to action button. Alright, so here we should have that followed by a call to action button. So we have this, then we'll have a button. The last thing here will be a button. And then we'll try to create some sections down just to make the landing page a little bit lengthy. So this is exactly what we'll try to create. Alright, so if you want to have the assets, I don't know, when I'll post the video I'll try to link something in the description, but you can use any asset you want. So what I'll start by doing here is to get rid of this and also get rid of all the stylings here except for the body. Yeah, So I'll get rid of all the stylings except for the body, so we'll maintain the font. So I clear this off, and I'll still just take it down and clear it off, and I save this. So I have an empty canvas. So the first thing I want to do is I want to set the background color to this body that we are designing on. I just want to give it a different background aside from, let me say, the white. Yeah, I just want something a little bit darker, so I'll say background color. So background stroke color, you can just use your shortcut. Let's say blue, for instance. Enter. And over here I want to kind of use this kind of dark blue background, so we have something like this. Alright, it's just to kind of, I don't like light, so most developers don't like light, so I'm one of them. So alright, so over here we actually want to start putting or filling in our items. So in our body, the first thing you need to understand most whenever you're designing is how do you want to control how the width of your website is. Alright, let me explain real quick. On my website I can create a default container here. So this is a div with class container. In this div over here, let me just kind of define it here for you guys to see. So here I can give this dot container div, let me say I give it a background color of white so that it should be actually visible. And remember, when you're defining a container, you need to give it a width and height. So I'll give a width here, so I'll give it a unique width. I can say 100%. Let's see what happens. And then I'll just give it a height, let's say height of 100 VH, and I save. We have something like this. Alright, what happened? Oh, what did the container not show? Alright, so here we have the container. If I increase it this way, you see it actually displays. But now when I increase this screen here, I'm actually using a 27-inch display screen. You see that it's very broad. But there are times where you want to control the size of your, let me say, of how the content on your website displays to be a specific length. So how do you do that? It's simply by specifying this width here. For instance, if you follow from, let me say, the most often, like display width. For instance, if I come online and I just search something like, okay, someone wants to join. Alright, so if I come online here and I search something like width display, I'll see width length like 1140 and many others. Let me say screen width property. You see things like 1140 pixels and many others. So let's say, for instance, here, let me go down and see if I have something like 1140. Alright, there's no fixed width defined, but 1140 is one of the max widths that we have. So if I come to what I want, like what I'm creating here, and I specify that the width of this container here should be 1140. So here we say 1140 pixels, for instance, and I save. Normally over here it looks okay, but if I increase the screen this way now, what do you discover? It keeps space on the right and on the left. Why is it that it is actually placing this particular item in the middle? It's simply because we have predefined styles for the body, which are the flex styles. And these flex styles actually make sure that we are trying to centralize this div element here at the center. So that's the one thing. So now you can see if you are trying to reduce this down, except when you drop down below 1140, then you discover that the width will actually shrink down. But as I'm increasing here, when the width of the body is more than 1140 pixels, what I'm actually doing is keeping extra spacing from here. And if I increase like this, it is something like this. So there are most websites that you see that has this particular defined width, meaning that the content begins from here and ends somewhere here. There are many of them, but most often you can see websites that span all through 100%. So depending on how you want to create your website, you can do it the way you want to do it. Alright, so let's continue. So over here, let's just leave it at 1140 pixels just for technicalities. Over here, I want to first of all include H1. I'll just write the logo. I'll not have time to be bringing images. So under H1, I just want to put something like crest a card. And I save. Over here you can see we have H1 crest card. Now the next thing I want to do here is I want to include the, let me say, first we were already putting items without actually defining the structure. Now this is the container, and the container is like the main man that carries everybody aside from the body. So to make this kind of look a little bit professional here, we can include the header. Sorry, I'm typing in caps, so we can include the header. So the header here is an HTML element, which is one of the advanced HTML elements that enables you to actually put something that is recognized as the header first. If I save, it remains the same, nothing changes. But the header here will also act as a container. So over here, after the logo, what next I want to put here is a div or another container that will hold our link element. So over here I can put something like dot, we can just call it something like dot navigation. And in our dot navigation here, we want to create elements which are of a tag, and we want to give them classes called nav l, meaning that nav element. You can give any class name you want. With mine, using something like nav-l, which simply stands for nav element. And if I press enter here, the first thing it will ask me is like the href. Where am I linking to? I can just say hashtag link to the same page. And then the class is nav-l. Over here, I can just say home. And then this is the home page. Now, I will just copy this and paste maybe 3 times to link to other pages. Let me say I copy this down, I paste. Okay, let me close this back. I go down again and I paste. Then I'll just change this home, maybe let's say to something like courses, and then I'll change this other home here to maybe testimonials, something like this. And I will still paste one for contacts. So this last one here, I'll change home to contacts, something like this. Let me begin with the capital letter, but if you still don't begin with the capital letter, you can edit it in your HTML to do that. Now you see we have testimonials, sorry, our navigation elements displaying down. Now outside of this div element here, which is the navigation, outside of it now I want to create a call to action button, maybe a button called something like btn. So button with a class called btn, which simply stands for button. In this button here, I just want to give it something like sign in, maybe for maybe users who already have an account. I just say sorry for a spelling error, I say sign in and I save. So we'll have our button here. Alright, sorry, I did not create a button, so I'll say button something like this dot btn is simply the shortcut to create a button with a class called btn. I press enter, I'll have my button here. Just put sign up or sign in, anyone. I prefer sign in, so that it prompts users to actually create an account. So now it turns to a button. So if you look over here, you see that now we have a button. But what we actually want is to make sure that these guys here display in a row. So the first thing I want to do is to make sure that I position them. So I will call my header file. So here, since it will just be one header on my website, there are not 2 headers. What I'll do here is I'll simply call the header directly inside of my CSS. And after this now, I want to give the header a width of 100%. So I will give the header a width of 100%. And I'll give it a height, a unique height. So I can give it something like height of about, let's say, 100 pixels. Yeah, and I save. You see everything looks the same, but the next thing I want to do is I want to make sure that alright, so what, as I was saying, I said over here we want to give it a width and height, and when you see after giving the width and height, nothing actually do changes. We want to actually make sure that these guys align to the vertical. So what I'll actually do here is I'll give them a display flex property. So I'll say display flex from what we saw on Friday. So when I give display flex, automatically they display this way. So there are some properties I want to give to make sure that they align. So I'll give align items to the center, and then now on justify here, justify content, I want to give space between. Now space between means that one begins at the end, one at the middle, and one at the end. So if I save this, you see the way it's positioned. The heading at the beginning, this one in the middle, this one at the end, and you see that the spaces between each element is the same. So the space between this one here, and don't forget that this one here is a container that holds those elements. So the space is between this container, the whole of this container, and this one. So if you calculate this space here and this space here should be equal. So that's simply what that means. So the next thing I want to do is, over here we have h1, so I'll just give this one here a class called logo. So I'll give it a class called logo, and I save. Then over here I'll be able to style dot logo, and the logo I'll just want to reduce the font size, so I'll just be like font size maybe should be something smaller. So if I say font size, let's give it a font size of let me say 32 pixels. Let's see if it goes smaller, is the same. So let's take it down to 24 pixels. Alright, so say 24. Alright, it's smaller now. We want to make it more bolder, so I'll say font weight. So the font weight of this guy should be about, let's take it to 900 and see how it looks. Okay, it doesn't look that bold. Let's try bolder. Okay, still not that bold, but let's just allow it like that. Then now I'll just want to give it one funny color, sorry, not background color. So I want to give it a color of sky blue. So first of all select this, then over here I'll just use this to actually go to this sky blue, and I save. But now one thing about this, I don't want it to have a background, so I can just remove this background color, this, or I drop the intensity from here. Let the background be there but with a lower intensity, so that we have something like this. Now over at our nav element here, let me increase so that you see how this looks. So this is how it looks like on a large screen. In our next session I'll show you guys how you can actually control the mobile view. So today we just focus more on this bigger view. So here I'll change the colors of these people here to be white and give some spacing between them, and then remove the underline. And to do all these three things, the first thing you want to do is to first of all call the elements. So here I want to first of all call the elements, which are the navls. So here I will call .navl stroke L, and with the navls here I want to first of all give them color white. So the color should be white. I save, it should change to white. Then now I'll change the text decoration to none. So the decoration and the text should be nothing, so we give it none. Text decoration is none. If I save, we remove the underline. And I just want to give them some margin, so they should be margin between these elements of about 10 pixels. When I save, you should give them some spacing like this. We are not focusing on the mobile view. Alright, so what I was explaining is, over here we gave the nav elements first to remove the default setting there. We change the color to white, text decoration to none to remove the underlined, and then margin of 10 pixels to give it this spacing between the elements, so that if I increase it like this, you can see something like this that actually looks better. So something like this that looks good. But if you see that this spacing here is still too small, you can still increase the margin if you want. So over here I can increase maybe the margin here to about 20 pixels, and I save. Over here you see it is kind of demolished at this instance. Alright, sorry. After reconnecting, alright, please, I hope you can see my screen now. Is it okay now? Is it okay now? Alright, thank you. Alright, so what I was explaining is if I increase now over here, we are focusing more on the desktop view. We are focusing more on the desktop view. So if you check the desktop view here, you can actually see that it's looking a little bit cool. So I can come back here and I increase this margin. So the margin for the nav element from 10 pixels to about 20 pixels, also increase the sizing. When I do that, you see over here, it actually kind of scatters it. But for now, we are not focusing on the mobile. So in our next session, we'll focus more on mobile responsiveness. So if I increase it this way, you can see the spacing here have increased. So this one actually looks cool. That's what I meant about the width. So you can see that your website actually has a defined width, like from here to here and from here to here. Now let's style our button to make sure that the button also looks cool. So over here, I'll call the .btn class. So I'll call .btn and .btn. I'll give it a background color. First, I'll give it a background color, and this is the background color. I'll give the btn. So I'll just copy it from here. Control C, over down, Control V. Then the next thing I want to do is to give the borders. I want to remove the borders. By default, there are always borders in buttons, so I want to remove the border. I say border none. Then I want to give the button maybe a width. Instead of giving a width, I can just give it padding. So I can give it padding. So you should have like padding of, let's say, you can give padding of 6 pixels by 12 pixels by 6 pixels by 12 pixels, something like this. And I save, we have our button in, it looks a little bit bigger. So this one here is simply content first. We want to go for the other approach here. We can increase maybe from this 6 to 8. So we can increase this to 8, let's say 8. Then this 12 pixels here, we can change it maybe to 32. So actually make it a little bit wider. So this one again to 8, this one to 32. So 32, and I save. Now the button is a little bit wider. Then now over here, I want to give the button some border radius. So border radius of about 6 pixels to just give it some rounded nature, for it to be a little bit rounded. So with these properties here, you can see our button here has some styles, but the color in the button, I want it to be white, so I'll give it a color. So I'll specify the color here to be white. So if I save, the button color is white. If I increase, this is how it looks like normally. So I can say for now we are done with the navigation bar. As I said, we will not focus on responsiveness now. In our next session, we'll focus more on mobile responsiveness. So here we have our button and we have our nav links. And if I click any link here, it is what I put hashtag here, simply because we are not linking to anything. So I have our logo, we have our navigation links, home, courses, testimonials, contact, then we have sign up, and that is it. So now let's move over to the next section. So in our next section here, after the header, so this is it here. After the header, I'll create another section called the hero section. So this is our header. The header ends here. I'll create a section here or another div called the hero. So I'll call it .hero. So this is our hero section. And in our hero section here, we want to have H1 again. So we want to have H1. And this time around, we just want to type something captivating, like I can say something like welcome to, maybe let me write it in caps. So I just say welcome to Crest Academy, where you can learn how to code from the comfort of your home, something like this. And I save. We should have this that appears. So the first thing I will do here is I will just change the color of H1. I can just change the whole background color of the body to white. So over here to control the color, so I'll just put the color generalities to be white, so such that I will not have any problem changing it again. So I have something like this. If I increase it this way, this is what we have, but this is not actually how we want it to look like. So I want it to be a little bit more bigger, pushed to the center, and kind of centralized, that's what we want. So what I'll do is I'll give this man here, since I don't like styling direct HTML element because we don't know how many h1 tags we can have. Here I'll give it a class called, maybe let's say main, something like main, and I save. Over here I'll call it, so I'll call .main, and in our .main here I first want to increase the font size, so I want to increase the font size for it to be really big, so I'll give it something like 64 pixels. It should be super big. Alright, this one is okay, I like it this way. So the next thing I want to do is to give it a margin from the top, so we should push it down. So we say margin top, sorry I mistakenly clicked bottom, so we want margin top, and we want a margin top of about 200 pixels. We push it down 200 pixels down. Let's reduce it to 150, something like this. Then I want to align the text to the center, so say text stroke align, we push it to the center, we say we'll have something like this. So if I increase it this way, this is what we have. So welcome to Crest Academy, where you can learn how to code from the comfort of your home. So if I just want to make sure that I make this kind of looks a little bit cooler, what I'll do is I'll try to shrink down the space where this kind of displays. So if I come back here, the first thing you remember is we positioned this guy inside of a div section called hero. So here I'll just kind of style .hero, and in our hero here I want to give the hero a width. So the hero should have width of, let's say the width should be 80% of the total width. So if I increase it this way, first you discover that it is this way. Why is it this way? Like if I increase it, you discover that it's displaying on one side and it's leaving much space on the right. So first of all, why is it this way? It's simply because on our div we did not use any div centralization properties to centralize the content in the main container. So I can just go down to the main container here and I give something like display flex, then I align my items to the center and I save, and I have to specify also the flex direction. So the flex direction should be column, and I save. It should solve the problem. And if I increase now, you discover that our content displays in the middle. But the one thing is that this thing here does not look nice to me. The text is too much. So instead of this is a hero section, so we can reduce this down to something like welcome to Crest Academy. Okay, let's just limit it to learn how to code from the comfort of your home. So we remove this part of it. So let's go back there, here. So here we remove from welcome and we start from learn how to code. Let me go this way, shift. Alright, let's cut this out and save, and then we'll have something like this. Learn how to code from the comfort of your home. So this is what we have. Alright, so the next thing I want to do now is to just add some funny guys down here. So what I'll do is I'll use the box model to add them. So I'll use the box model. Okay, so over here, after this hero section here, what I want to do is inside of the hero section, let me go this way so that I go to the end here. I want to create .same. So these are div elements and they are the same, so I want to create about 4 of them at once. So I would say .same, these are shortcuts multiplied by 8, sorry, multiplied by 4, and I press enter, you'll create 4 of them. Inside this, all I want to do is just like I can put just some random text, but if you want in a case where you put an icon or something, you can still do it. let's say for instance we want to include an icon. Let's just make it look more professional. I'll increase this. This is what we have for now. I'll go to bootstrap icons. So bootstrap icons, I'll just search for them and I'll go there. I'll link bootstrap. So to link bootstrap, just search for bootstrap icons, click the first link that you see here. So you click the first link here. These are bootstrap icons here. Okay, as you can see, there are many of them. I can just go through like this one here that talks about time. But before I link this, I'll first of all go right down to actually get this code to link to my bootstrap. So you can choose to link using HTML or you link via have import. I always prefer import, so I'll copy this import. The same way we linked our CSS, the same way we linked our fonts, that's how I also link this. So I'll go back to where we are typing our code over here. This should be it. Alright, this is it. So here after this also I'll paste this. So we have imported our bootstrap. So over here now we can start using bootstrap icon. So if I go back up, right up here, we have our timer here. I can just choose the timer, we'll go for the few fonts, and I'll just copy the class link from here. So I'll just copy the whole of this code. Since I've linked, if I paste this code here, it actually puts it on the website. So let me go back. This should be where we are. Alright, so here I'll take it here so that I'll come here, this div, and I'll paste this and save just to test it out. This is the icon over here. So our bootstrap have been successfully linked. Alright, so what I want here, I just want to say like a paragraph. I'll say learn fast from industry experts. I save. We should have something like this, learn fast from industry experts. But now you can see we have not styled the same, so we want to actually style them and see what we are working with. So over here I'll call dot same. There are many of them, there are 4 of them. So I want them to have a width. Let me scroll up so that we can see the styles. So I want to give them a width, a defined width of about, let's say 300 pixels by 300 pixels. So with 300 pixels, height also should be 300 pixels. See, oh shoot, we give it a background color of white. Now they should be visible. So this is what we have. So for us to differentiate them, to actually see them, I'll give them a margin of about 10 pixels each, and I save. This is how they display, and they're displaying in the form of a block. But there's one problem here. If I want to change the display view here, it would demand that it would kind of mingle out or change the display because the heading here is inside. So what I'll do is I'll enclose all of them inside a container. So here I can just call this container here hold stroke same. So it's holding the same, and inside here I'll place all these div elements with the class name same. So I'm giving them to this man here as their parent. So we'll have something like this. If I save, we'll still have this, but this size is actually too much. So I'll drop it down to 150 pixels. So this should drop down to 150. I save. We'll have something like this. Alright, it's exactly what I want. So now we need to first of all style this class hold same. So give it a width of 100%, automatic height, and display flex. So here I'll put this. I'll just style it. So what I'll do is I'll first of all give it a width of 100%. Then now I'll give it a height of automatic. So auto. After this now I want to give it a display flex. So the display should be flex. Then we want to align items to the center. But now we want to justify the content to be space between also. So justify content should be something like space between, and I save. You should have something like this. So if I increase this way, this is how it actually does appear. So what I'll do now is I'll make sure that in here text or the color should be white. So this is what we want. The color should be white. Let me go back here. The color haven't changed, but I know why the color haven't changed, because we have defined it in the body. So we'll put it this way. So over here at same, we have a background color of white. We still want to, alright, sorry, I instead put color white, so I want to take it down to black. Save. Alright, so our colors have changed. So inside the same, still we want to do the same thing. So this display flex properties, I'll just copy it. Control C, and here I want to paste it. But this space between here, I want to put it to the center instead. Center means everything will be at the center, and I save. So I have something like this. Then here I'll specify the flex direction. So the flex direction here now should be column, and I save. So something like this. So I'll still want to give something like padding, external padding. So I want to give padding of about 10 pixels or even 8. It will be okay. Alright, so here it's giving some kind of funny vibes, but here it should not be the same. Let me just remove the padding. Okay, let me go back. So here let me just take off this padding. Let it just be there. Control S. We have this the way it is. So here we have an icon. We say learn fast from industry experts. Since I don't want to go back to be copying the same thing and pasting all through, I'll just copy this, and in here I'll just paste it. But when you're doing yours, make sure you put different content there. I'm just doing this to save time. We are running short of time already. It's supposed to be for 1 hour, but we have consumed the 1 hour, so we'll have something like this. But for yours, do something that looks cool. Now this is what we have, but our text is kind of aligned this way, so I want to change that. So what I'll do here is I can just come over here. I always like giving classes to the elements I actually want to start. So I have this paragraph here, I have this paragraph here, and I have this paragraph here. So I'll give them a class together of E stroke maybe center, something like this, and I just want to copy, and over here I'll just paste it here. Alright, so I have multiple, I copy multiple, and here I'll just say text stroke align center. So text align the center, save. We should now solve the problem. When we enlarge, we should have something like this. So now we want to just give some borders to this dot same, just to make it look a little bit nice, and then we'll reduce a little bit the opacity to create some transparent nature. So here I'll give border radius, so border radius of about, let's say, 12 pixels, and here I'll just try to drop this down a little bit, and I save. So I have something like this, although the white is still okay. Let me take it back. So if I increase this, we have something like this. Then I'll put a button down, which will be a call to action button. Let's see, we put a button down here. So over here, after this div here, we put our button. So I'll put .btn. Sorry. So I'll create a button with a class btn, and then I just want to say register or start learning for free, something like this. And if I increase this, we should have a button here, start learning for free. But now there's one thing, we want to make this button to be at the center. So we can just go over here, because the button here, let me show you guys, the button is found inside a class called hero. So we need to go to the hero here, This is the hero class, and we'll try to use the decentralization. So over here, I'll just copy this display flex, align item center, justify content to the center. So this one here, I'll just change this to center, something like this, and I save. It should solve the problem now. And yeah, it solved the problem and created another. So here, flex direction. So I want to specify the flex direction to be column. So I save, and if I come back here, it should be now this way. So over here we have this button. If you want to use two classes in one, all what you need to do is to come over here where you have a class like here. I'll put space, then I'll say btn. You can give any name. I can say btn stroke p, meaning I'm giving a padding. Btn stroke p. You can give any name you want. So over here I'll call .btn stroke p, and here I can just give a padding from the top. So padding top of about, let's say, 40 pixels, and I save. If I come back here, alright, sorry, I gave a padding top instead of margin, so this should be margin, and I save. We need margin, so something like this. So better see, you can still make this button a little bit bigger if you want. Like this one is smaller, this one should be a little bit bigger. So if I come back here, we have our button here. I can just copy this padding, and I go down over here. We want it to be big, so here we'll change this to 16, this to 16, then we can change it to 64, and 64, and we save. If we come back here, alright, we should have a big button. Yeah, a big button. So for now, this is what we have done. So just to crown it all, let's create the last section down just to make it a little bit scrollable. So what I'll do is I'll go to pixels as normal. Let me see. Okay, let me open pixels. This is where you can get free stock images you want to use, maybe for your web design project or anything. So you can come to pixels. Over at pixels, I'll just search for maybe students or learning. Let me just search for learning. So learning, and let's see what we have as images. Or we can even search for coding. That will be more better. Let's search for coding, something like this. And we can use an image that is in form of landscape, not portrait. Let me see. Alright, this one looks cool. So I can just right click and I copy image address. Copy image address. I don't want to download the image I include. I just want to include using the link. Yeah, that one should be okay. So we link it here. So what I want to do here is inside of our container here, after this div, I want to create another div for section stroke 1. Our section 1, I start with img, and our image src, we paste our link and we save. We should see a big image down. So this is the image. So the next thing I want to do is to create a section. So just like what we did last class, with this one we are just trying to include it to be on the website. So here I'll create dots left. This one will be, sorry, right. This one will be on the right, something like this. And here, since I don't want to be kind of over typing, let me just create h2 here, and I say what, let me say what you will learn, something like this, and I save. And I can just include some random text, maybe in a list. So I can create maybe, let me say li. In the list here, you want to create, sorry, list ul, we want to create on other list, and here we want to create li. Here we say html, we say li, we say css basic to let's say advanced. Then the next li, we say javascript from beginner, so javascript from beginner to advanced. SAP HP li, so SAP HP for back-end development. Then we say li, here we say my SQL for database design, something like this. Let's say this is what we wrote. Now over where we are styling here, I can give this image here a class of img. So everything when you're working is simply with respect to giving classes and using the classes to style. So over here I'll start from styling section 1. So I'll copy, you can copy or just type directly just to save time, section 1, and here I'll give it a width. So I'll give this a width of 100%, span all through, so with a 100%. Let me just give the properties. Height should be auto, so the height should be auto, and then now we want to give it a display of flex like this. So if I say we have something like this, now I want to call .img, and I just want to give it a width of 50%, so width should be 50%. We should now reduce the size of the image, so we have something like this. So what next we have here is this .right. So if I just increase it this way, you should see how it looks like, but it is too close to the bottom here, so we can actually push it down. So to push it down, we simply use margin. So margin works on the external, as I said. So over here, so over here we can use margin at the top. So margin top should be about 200 pixels. You should push it down, and then now we can now call .right. So say .right, and then we give it a width of 50% also. Height should be automatic. And I want to give it a padding of about 24 pixels, and I save. So we come back here, we should have something that looks like this. So this actually looks a little bit cool. So I think if you just want to twist this a little bit to give it a little bit of touches, we can make sure that this man here is actually at the center, and some kind of like this is just something small. If there was more time, we could go further to kind of styling it, making it to look more better and things like that. But just to give a little bit of twist, we can increase. Let's say we can give this man here a border radius. Let's give it a border radius of 12 pixels, and over here display flex, you can just say align item center, justify content center, just to centralize the items. Justify content should be center, save, and we have this as our final result. Right, I don't know if you guys actually do understand. Let me just increase the width of the image again, and in that case this one can be dropped to 30, this one increased to 70, something like this. Yeah, so we'll have something like this. Alright, so this is just a simple design we have done, just to show you guys how you can use the concept of what you have done within the past two classes to create your landing page or any landing page you wish to create. And I'm sure this should actually give you very draft knowledge of what we are dealing with is all about. This is just a simple one. Very soon, from after our next class, after we do mobile responsiveness, we'll start JavaScript, and with JavaScript we'll start creating lots of interactivity within our designs. So I don't know if you have any question, something you have not understood so far, you can ask now, or better still, you can ask in the group anytime. I will try to render the video and I'll upload it before Wednesday, such that the video should be ready for you guys to actually watch. So also advise, when you go to YouTube, try to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, so that even if I drop a video that is not part of this, you should get notified and actually learn. This is something that we are all trying to learn, trying to adapt, trying to make things actually move. Alright, someone is asking a question. So alright, so please. Alright, yeah, you can get to me personally, Mama. If there is any issue you want me to explain, you can get to me personally, or you ask a question in the group. I'll always respond. I know if that's okay. I'm great to hear that. I hope you guys are also working on your projects.